So I'm going to show you how to tie your corners so you come out with a rounded edged blanket. A lot of the ladies have been asking me, how do you make it a round so when you flip it over it's got a round edge on the corners, there's no corner on it. Now I'm going to do the 4 corners of this little blanket. Now on this frame I just need to take away the first 3 on this corner section. That's what's going to make my blanket round. Just don't tie your corner sections. Do your blanket any way you want. Like I said already, and I say every single video almost, it's only wood and nails. There's only so many patterns anyone can come up with, and if you play around with it and you come up with something slightly different, then that's great. Now with this one, I did a coloured one on the vertical. Well, this is very similar, it's just that it's going up and down the way. A rounded corner, do not tie the first 2 on your first line or the first 1 of your second line. So I've got my shuttle, I'm going to feed it down through this 3rd one. This is where I'm going to start my tie. I'll just pop that up there out of the road. I'm going to hand tie it. Leave enough room so the tail can disappear into the fringing, and tie it as tight as you can. Now the more rounds you put on, obviously it's a bigger bundle you need to tie. Now what I do is I tie all the edges of mine twice. I do it twice so it holds those strands in. So if you've done your blanket for a pram topper, or if it's going, little children are going to get their hands on it, it's going to be much more difficult for them to pull those threads out. You don't want them to pull the long threads out. So I've tied that section, I'm now going to tie this section. So those 2, don't tie it, nope, don't tie them. So I'm going to go down through the top right, and I'm going to bring my shuttle up through the bottom left. Make sure your shuttle doesn't catch on your nails or your pegs that you've got. Take the loop in your hand and do a twist. Put your wool through that hoop and pull it tight. Now you don't need to do that turn, it's up to you if you want to do that turn, but I think it holds it much tighter. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that one again. So I'm going to go down the top left and up through the bottom right. Pull my shuttle up, make sure that's out of the way. That'll disappear into the fringe, so don't worry about that. Now I've got my loop, give it a twist, I give it a twist. It's up to you, you tie the way you want to tie. It's up to you how you tie it, as long as it's secure. It's got to be secure. If these toppers and blankets are going anywhere near children, even though they're only for the top of the pram, they need to be secure. Now your loop, twist, roll through and pull. Now as you can see, there's no great big knots on it, that's perfectly fine, but to be honest, you're better to have a knot there than being able to pull those strands out. You don't want to be able to do that. Now this is not getting cut into pom-poms, it's just staying this way, and that's all the more reason for it to be nice and tight. So we've missed those 2 out, we're not doing those 2. I'm going to work my way along, and then I'll work my way back, and I won't tie that one. Just how much knot to tie on the corners, depending on the size of frame that you have. So again, I'm going to tie this one. I'm going to move that peg up there, And as you can see, they're working brilliant. They're keeping all of that wool away from this one. This is brilliant when you do this type of blanket. So you need to remember that when you do the rainbow scrap blanket, that use pegs. I know on the video on the other one actually I tied it. I tied lots of little pieces of wool on, but then somebody gave me the tip of putting a peg on it, and I think it's a great tip. Now I'm going to tie this one, and again, because it's going to be on the end, I'm going to tie it twice. I'm going to tie it once by hand because it's on the end, and then I'll tie it again. I don't want my strands to come loose. A lot of people will say the strands are pulling loose on my blanket. What do I do? Tie it tight, tie it twice. Now that'll become part of the fringe, so don't worry about that. We'll just tuck that away through there. Now I'm going to go down the top left, up through the bottom right, twist my wool through the hoop and pull, and give it a good wriggle it about like that. Right, and as you can see, these darker crosses, even though they're in the white, these are where I've tied them twice along the edge. You can see these ones are lighter. It is still 2 strands, but I've tied it inside once, but all around the edge I've tied it twice, just to make sure that those strands stay in place. Now this is what I mean by doing a corner. Can you see the way those crosses are? Those 2 and those ones, they're not tied. Those 3, don't tie them if you want a rounded corner. So you can see the crosses coming there, and this will get trimmed to the same as this. They are about 2 inches wide anyway. If you've got a big loom, you can always leave this one out and don't tie that one, and you'll get extra long fringes. That's how you get extra long fringes. Just don't load any wool on here. Now you can see the wool is just all sitting on the top there. I haven't layered it at all. I just went from peg to peg, as you can see here. So because I have a peg loom, all I have to do now is just slip it up and off. I'm doing it this way so that I can cut the loops really nice.